Have you ever thought that a single party could change everything you thought was solid? I never expected that on that bachelor night. A confession, a message, and a few glances would force me to confront the past, friendship, and love in ways I had never imagined. And more importantly, it happened just a few weeks before my wedding. The soft yellow lights of the hotel room cast a warm glow over the banquet table, where bottles of wine and glassware sparkled. Music played from a Bluetooth speaker, cheerful melodies mingling with the laughter of close friends. I stood in the corner of the room, a glass of red wine in hand, looking around and feeling a complex mix of emotions: excitement for the upcoming wedding, yet a subtle tension because the atmosphere carried both joy and pressure. This was my last bachelor party before my life changed forever. All my friends had gathered. There were old college friends, close colleagues, and, of course, Kelly. Kelly, a name that felt both familiar and sensitive to every emotion in me. We had been close friends for many years, but our past was complicated. Friendship, a few arguments, and feelings never spoken aloud. She had clashed with my fiancée in the early years, but after multiple disputes, I thought everything had been resolved. I believed she had changed, or at least I wanted to believe so. The party started cheerfully. Everyone laughed and shared stories, holding hands while recalling old memories, raising glasses to celebrate. I tried to join in every conversation, but my eyes kept drifting to Kelly. She smiled, talked, but there was something different in her gaze, a heaviness I didn't understand. I brushed it off, thinking maybe I was imagining things. As the wine was poured for the second time, the atmosphere became livelier. I laughed, retelling old stories, trying to remain calm and cheerful. But then Kelly approached, walking slowly, slightly unsteady from drinking. I noticed worry in her eyes, a mix of sorrow and silent anger. When she stood in front of me, the room seemed to pause for a moment. I knew something was about to happen. "I need to say this," Kelly stammered, her voice trembling, her hands gripping her glass tightly. I furrowed my brow, unsure how to react. She took a deep breath and said, "I don't agree with you getting married. I've loved you since we were 21. I froze for a moment. Her confession was like a cold wind blowing through my heart, slowing everything around me. The cheerful atmosphere suddenly became tense. I noticed my friend's eyes on us, awkward, hesitant to intervene. I wanted to laugh, but I also wanted to escape. Drunken emotions often make people blunt, but this was beyond normal. I took a breath, trying to speak gently. "Oh, you're drunk. Just say that, okay?" She looked disappointed, but didn't back down. "No, you have to hear it. You need to know the truth," Kelly insisted, her voice trembling but resolute. I stood still, trying to stay composed. I didn't want a scene, but at the same time, I realized this was a challenge. Her feelings, though long unrequited, could not and would not change my decision. I inhaled deeply and replied concisely, "You've said it, okay. Now let's get back to having fun." Kelly's eyes were full of disappointment as she turned away and quietly sat in a corner, but the atmosphere inside me could not return to normal immediately. I felt chaos, a mixture of confusion, anger, and concern for the happiness ahead. I knew this confession would not just be a fleeting moment. It left a faint scar in the space among friends, in my relationship with Kelly, and in my mind. I took a sip of wine, closing my eyes to calm myself, but the image of Kelly standing there, trembling with tense eyes, lingered in my head. Friends began telling jokes, and raising glasses again, but I couldn't fully join in. I felt like an outsider, observing but not belonging. Perhaps this was the first moment I realized long-term friendships could harbor unspoken emotions, and sometimes they surface at the worst possible times. I decided to ignore it for the moment. Wine, atmosphere, everyone. I thought once Kelly sobered up, she would forget, or at least not bring it up again. I continued chatting with friends, laughing, but inside I felt tension, as if waiting for a ticking time bomb. The party lasted until late at night. As everyone started leaving, I stayed behind, watching Kelly from afar. She sat quietly, occasionally glancing at me with an unreadable expression. I took a deep breath, telling myself, "Don't let this ruin everything. It's just a moment of weakness. It will pass." But deep down, I knew that once a confession was made, it never completely disappeared. On the way home, I tried to recall the moments between Kelly and me in the past. There was joy and anger, misunderstandings, intimate moments that now revealed signs of unrequited feelings. I realized I had to prepare myself for the coming days. Kelly might text me. She might try to pull me back, and this story might spread among friends, creating an unpredictable chain of drama. I opened my phone but didn't send any messages. I told myself, let everything settle. I'll deal with it when the time comes. Inside, I felt both tense and relieved, because at least I still had control over my emotions at this moment. I went to sleep, closing my eyes, yet the image of Kelly and her confession haunted me. A reminder that friendship, love, and marriage are delicate threads, always subject to testing at any time. 2 days after the bachelor party, I was trying my best to act normal. Work, wedding preparations, and the final details for the ceremony consumed all my time and mental energy. But there was one thing I couldn't ignore: my phone. Every ding of a new message made my heart skip a beat. I knew the moment would come when I'd have to deal with Kelly, and then the notification popped up on my screen. "Have you thought about what I said?" The message startled me. That confession at the party, though I'd brushed it off at the time, was now resurfacing, forcing me to respond. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. I didn't open the reply immediately. Instead, I read the message over and over, staring at the screen, feeling a tightening pressure in the space around me, my office, my co-workers, and my own mind bouncing between calm and anger. Finally, I typed a short, firm reply. "You're talking about what happened at the party, right?" Kelly responded almost instantly. "Yes, exactly. What do you think?" A surge of emotions hit me. Anger, frustration, exhaustion. But I knew I had to stay composed to avoid making things worse. I typed a long, direct, and reasoned message. "I've thought it through. What you said doesn't change anything. I'm going to marry the person I've chosen. Your feelings are yours, not mine, and they don't affect my marriage. I don't care what you think about my fiancée, and I don't care what you want from me." It was a cold message. Hitting send made my heart race. Kelly's reply came immediately. "You don't have to be rude. You could say it more gently." I smirked and typed back, "Of course, I can be gentle if I want. This isn't a movie. You're testing whether your confession can change anything. But it doesn't. You should go back to reality." She didn't reply immediately. I knew she was reading, absorbing the firmness in every word. I felt a strange mix of relief and fatigue. fatigue from facing 6 years of unspoken feelings, relief that I had finally set a clear boundary. But the tension didn't stop there. I realized an uncomfortable truth. Kelly wasn't just expressing her feelings. She was trying to control mine, as if testing whether I would crumble. I asked myself, is she trying to see if she can sabotage the wedding? The thought sent a chill down my spine. Over the next few hours, I kept checking my phone. No new messages from Kelly, yet the tension lingered. I kept replaying the party in my mind. Her eyes, her trembling voice, her disappointment and determination. I realized this wasn't just a drunken moment. It was a deep issue of unrequited feelings and personal boundaries that night. I sat in front of my laptop, trying to finalize the wedding guest list. But my mind kept returning to the messages. I reminded myself, stay calm. Don't let this affect my fiancé. Don't let it spread to friends. And above all, don't let Kelly control my emotions. The next day, I double-checked everything, my conversation with Kelly, how friends might misinterpret things, and what could happen if she shared parts of the story. It felt like standing at a crossroads, every path leading to social pressure, emotional strain, and the potential for drama to erupt at any moment. Just then, a message popped up from a friend. Heard Kelly said something to you. What happened? Everyone's talking. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. That's when I realized this conflict had entered a new stage, not just private matters anymore, but social pressure and misinterpretation among friends. I opened the messaging app, fingers trembling slightly. Something happened, but she was drunk. Everything's fine, I'll explain later. I knew, however, that I had to brace myself for the days ahead. Kelly would message again, push boundaries, and friends might keep misinterpreting things. I needed a plan to protect my upcoming wedding, my fiancé, and my own dignity. This pressure wasn't only from Kelly. It came from within me, wanting to maintain our friendship while protecting my engagement. I realized that 6 years of unspoken feelings had quietly built up, now erupting at the most sensitive time. I felt like I was standing on a cliff. On one side, reason, on the other side, complicated emotions. And I had to step carefully to avoid falling. I sat down, closed my eyes, imagining facing Kelly in the coming days. I knew more messages would come, maybe pleading, maybe questioning. I had to steel myself, not waver, not let drama ruin the wedding, and firmly hold my boundaries before going to sleep. I wrote a few lines in my journal. Kelly, our long friendship and unspoken feelings have become a problem. I have to be firm, not let her emotions control me. Everything will be okay. My fiancé is my present and my future. This is the final boundary. I knew tomorrow would be even more stressful than today. The first message was just the beginning, but it had laid the foundation for the chain of drama I knew would unfold over the next few weeks. And I also knew maintaining clear boundaries was the only way to protect true happiness and love. After the tense days of messages from Kelly, I thought things would calm down, but life has a way of surprising you. One Saturday afternoon, while I was finalizing the checklist for the wedding, my phone kept buzzing. A string of messages from friends appeared on the screen. Heard what happened with Kelly. People say you were a bit harsh. Friends are saying you were really rude to her. I paused everything, took a deep breath, and felt a chill run down my spine. That's when I realized a personal conflict had become a social one. Kelly, Even without sharing the whole story, only a part of it was enough for friends to misunderstand. I knew I had to act fast. If I didn't, the misinterpretations would spread and affect how my fiancée and my circle of friends saw me. I decided to meet with each close friend, explaining everything in detail. I recounted the party, how Kelly, drunk, confessed her feelings. I explained that I had stayed calm at the time, brushed off the confession, and that my later response, while firm, was necessary to maintain boundaries. Some friends nodded, showing understanding, but a few remained skeptical. "Maybe you were too harsh," one close friend emphasized. I shook my head, knowing my explanation couldn't satisfy everyone, but at least I had clarified the truth. All decisions about my marriage were my own, not influenced by Kelly's unrequited feelings. However, Kelly didn't stop. She continued contacting a few other friends, spinning her story in a way that made me seem like the bad guy. Each message I received added a new layer of pressure. Misunderstandings multiplied, social tension increased. I began to feel exhausted, but I also realized an important truth. You can't control everyone, but you can control yourself and your boundaries. Meanwhile, my fiancée started noticing something was off. She looked at me with concern and asked, "Is something going on with Kelly? I heard people say you didn't handle things well." I looked into her eyes, seeing both trust and worry. I knew that if I didn't handle this carefully, it could directly affect our upcoming wedding. I took a deep breath and decided to be honest. It's all just a misunderstanding. Kelly spoke privately, but she was drunk, and I responded firmly. "Everything's fine. I'll clarify things with friends." A small sense of relief surfaced, but the social pressure remained, like a quiet wave continuously pushing me toward tension. Every meeting, every message, I had to stay calm, choosing my words carefully, protecting my own reputation, not hurting Kelly too much, and maintaining trust with my fiancée. The following days were a marathon of conversations, meeting friends one by one, replying to texts, and sometimes just sitting quietly to listen. Some friends tried to persuade me to be gentler, while others looked at me skeptically. Each time, I had to inhale deeply and remind myself the goal was to protect my marriage, uphold my boundaries, and prevent the drama from spreading. The troubling part was, the more I explained, the clearer it became that Kelly wasn't just a personal issue anymore. She had made the story public enough to create social pressure. It felt like a power game. She was testing whether her confession could change anything, and I had to respond without getting pulled into her emotions or others' misunderstandings. During this time, my mind was flooded with complex emotions: anger, fatigue, confusion, but also a small sense of satisfaction knowing I was still in control. I reminded myself, she can try, but I won't let it destroy everything. One evening, while everyone was gathering to prepare for the pre-wedding party, Kelly appeared. She looked at me with a mix of disappointment, worry, and a faint, fragile hope. I stood still, closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and told myself, "Stay calm. This is the final boundary." I stepped forward and said quietly, but firmly, "Kelly, everything is clear. I don't want any more drama. Please respect this boundary." She lowered her head, saying nothing. In that moment, I realized something important. Social tension had reached its peak, but personal boundaries were the only thing keeping everything from spiraling out of control. That night, I went home and sat quietly by the window, looking out at the bustling American streets. the street lights reflecting on wet pavement. I saw myself caught between two worlds. One side was long-standing friendship, the other my love and upcoming marriage. I took a deep breath and wrote in my journal, "Social drama may happen, but I control my boundaries. Marriage is my present and future. Kelly is the past that I need to handle seriously, but I won't let her emotions control my life." I knew the climax wasn't over. Kelly might still try to pressure me, friends could still misunderstand, but at least I stood my ground, clarified the truth, and reaffirmed my determination to protect my upcoming happiness. This was my first lesson in the power of boundaries, honesty, and facing social pressure. After days of stress from messages and social pressure, I decided to spend a quiet afternoon reflecting. I sank into the sofa in my apartment, cradling a still warm cup of coffee, gazing out at the bustling American street below, where the afternoon sunlight was slowly turning a soft orange. The calm atmosphere seemed to offer relaxation, but my mind and heart were still spinning with memories and emotions tied to Kelly. I began recalling the early days of our friendship. Kelly and I met when we were 21, during college full of pranks, late-night study sessions, and endless conversations about the future. At the time, I never realized that Kelly was looking at me differently through the lens of unrequited love. While I only saw a close friend. I remembered her smile when I talked about my current fiancé, sharing freely, unaware that it hurt her. The more I reflected, the more I felt a complex mix of emotions, anger, because she had kept her feelings hidden for 6 years and now seemed intent on applying pressure. Heartache, because deep down I still considered Kelly a close friend, and a twinge of guilt, realizing part of this was my responsibility. Never recognized her feelings, yet I had to remind myself that the present was my fiancé, my upcoming wedding, and the happiness I had chosen. I took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, and told myself, what happened is the past. Kelly can love me, but I've chosen my own path. No one has the right to interfere with my marriage. Still, reason couldn't fully overpower emotion. I remembered the bachelor party, the soft yellow lights, the laughter, and Kelly's trembling confession. I had stayed firm and brushed it off then, but now, in retrospect, her feelings remained a significant psychological challenge. They demanded I maintain clear boundaries. Friendship, love, and marriage were 3 separate threads that could not be confused. I opened my phone and reread Kelly's messages. Just a few lines, but enough to make my chest tighten. She had written, "You don't understand how long I've endured this. You never noticed, never responded. It hurts." I closed my eyes, exhaling slowly as exhaustion crept into my muscles. I knew I had to make one final internal decision, not to let Kelly's emotions dictate me, not to let drama spread, and, most importantly, to protect my fiancé. As I sat quietly, I remembered the times Kelly had treated my fiancé poorly in the early years, subtle jabs, teasing remarks, small manipulations that caused hurt, but she had changed after repeated conversations. I realized that if I didn't set firm boundaries now, the past could resurface, creating unnecessary tension. I picked up my phone, mentally rehearsing the words. I would say, if Kelly tried to contact me directly, "I value our friendship, but marriage is my present and future. You need to respect this boundary. No one has the right to interfere with my happiness." I felt a measure of relief. Setting this boundary in my mind helped me control my emotions and prepare for future direct interactions. As night fell, I stepped onto the balcony, looking at the city lights twinkling below, feeling the gentle breeze on my face. I realized an important truth. Inner strength is key to facing social conflict and a friend's unrequited love. If I let emotions take over, Kelly could create bigger drama, and friends would continue to misinterpret things. I needed to steel myself while remaining compassionate, not too rigid, not too weak. I also asked myself, is it worth continuing this friendship? Kelly had been a long-time friend, but her feelings had turned the relationship complicated, sometimes even toxic. I realized that friendship sometimes requires sacrifice, especially when protecting something more valuable, my marriage and personal happiness. As I reflected, my mind began organizing everything: the bachelor party, the messages, the social pressure, the past with Kelly, and my relationship with my fiancée. Each element was a piece of the puzzle, and my task was to arrange them wisely, maintaining emotional balance and making the right decisions. Eventually, I felt some relief. I knew the conflict wasn't over, but at least I was mentally prepared, had set boundaries, and understood the value of my choices. I wrote in my journal before bed: memories with Kelly, unrequited feelings, social pressure, these are all tests. I must stand firm, protect my happiness, and not let anyone influence my decisions. Boundaries are everything. That night, I closed my eyes, listening to the wind on the balcony, sensing the city's rhythm and an inner calm. Though I knew the climax was still ahead, I reminded myself that a strong inner world is the foundation for overcoming any challenge, and that everything would unfold in the best possible way if I maintained resolve and boundaries. On the 6th day after the bachelor party, the atmosphere around me seemed perpetually tense. Pale golden sunlight streamed through the windows, but inside I felt a cold emptiness. I knew Kelly was preparing a move, a way to test my boundaries. Messages kept appearing on my phone. Can we meet? I want to talk honestly. Just 5 minutes. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. I had anticipated a face-to-face meeting, but now that it was happening, it still felt like a blade hanging over my head. I replied, "All right, let's meet at the usual cafe. But just 5 minutes, then we're done." The small cafe glowed with soft, warm lighting, and wooden tables reflected a cozy ambience. Yet the warmth of the space could not ease the tension between Kelly and me. She walked in, her eyes red, carrying disappointment, heartache, and a fragile glimmer of hope. I inhaled deeply, trying to steady myself. "I've loved you for so long," she began, voice trembling. "I can't sit quietly knowing you're getting married. You don't understand how I feel." I met her gaze steadily, voice firm and cold. "You've said it, Kelly. I heard you and I understand, but it changes nothing. I'm marrying the person I've chosen. You have to respect this boundary." Kelly frowned, her voice quivering. "But how can you be so indifferent? I've waited for you for 6 years. I drew in a deep breath, conveying seriousness. "Waiting doesn't give you the right to control my marriage. You're not the judge of my love. I've made my choice, and I will stand by it." The silence that followed stretched for a few seconds, heavy with tension. Every glance, every breath felt weighted, as if the entire world had condensed into this small cafe. After this meeting, I thought things might calm down, but they didn't. Rumors began spreading. Some of my friends cautiously asked, "I heard you were kind of harsh with Kelly." Friends say she's disappointed. How about you? I started to realize that social drama was truly igniting. Every misunderstanding, every speculation fell on me, and the pressure felt heavier than ever. Each message, each encounter demanded that I remain calm, explain myself without hurting anyone's feelings, and protect my fiancée at the same time. One afternoon, while preparing to meet the florist, Kelly showed up at my door, eyes red. I can't let this end like this. You have to understand my feelings. I inhaled deeply, maintaining composure. Kelly, I value our friendship and our past, but my marriage is my present and future. This is the final boundary. I don't want any more drama, and I need you to respect that. She looked at me, tearful, then walked away. The pressure eased slightly, but I knew the drama wasn't over. Kelly could still create awkward situations, potentially affecting my fiancé or friends. In the following days, I realized the biggest pressure didn't come from her confession or her messages, but from friends watching and talking. Some expressed doubt, some curiosity, and a few openly disagreed with how I handled things. Every conversation became a test. Could I maintain my boundaries, avoid being pulled into Kelly's emotions, and prevent drama from escalating? My fiancée began noticing the tension etched on my face. One evening, she held my hand. "Are you okay? I feel like something's wearing you down, and Kelly, she seems to be testing you." I looked her in the eye, calm but firm. "You're right. Things are tense, but I won't let it ruin us. I've set clear boundaries with Kelly, and I'll uphold them. You are my present and future." She nodded, somewhat reassured, though worry lingered in her eyes. I knew the pressure remained. Kelly didn't just want to be heard. She wanted to see if she could change my decision to protect my happiness. I devised a strategy: limit direct contact with Kelly, addressing matters only when necessary. Clarify misunderstandings with friends without revealing details that could hurt Kelly. Stand firm on my marriage decision, emphasizing that my fiancé is my present and future. That night, I sat by the window, looking at the city lights flickering below. The wine in my hand was warm, but it didn't dispel the tension. I realized that drama wasn't just in the confession or social pressure, was in the ability to maintain boundaries and protect true happiness. I wrote a few lines in my journal. The drama has escalated, but I stand firm. Happiness and boundaries are the most important. Kelly can test, but no one has the right to interfere with my choices. I knew the next phase would be the peak. Kelly might try to influence my fiancé or friends directly, and I would have to decide how to handle it. This was when I truly understood that inner resolve and personal boundaries were the keys to overcoming everything. The night of my bachelor party had been full of laughter, soft yellow lights filling the room, friends chatting comfortably. Both male and female close friends were there, and the relaxed atmosphere made me think it was just a normal party. But everything changed when Kelly, my college best friend, got so drunk she lost control and started saying things I never expected. She confessed that she wasn't happy that I was getting married, that she thought my fiancé wasn't the right choice, and that she had been in love with me since we were 21. I chuckled it off at first, thinking drunk people say silly things. But Kelly didn't stop there. 2 days later, she sent me a text, asking if I had reconsidered her confession. I responded bluntly, stating that I didn't care about her feelings and that my decision couldn't be changed. The message seemed to surprise Kelly. She accused me of being rude, But I realized that being straightforward was the only way to prevent her from continuing to test boundaries. Yet the drama didn't end. Kelly started spreading half-truths to friends, forcing me to clarify the situation to protect my reputation and relationships before the wedding. Some friends were sympathetic, but many thought I was too rigid, uncaring of her feelings. After the party and the messages, I spent a lot of time reflecting, thinking back to college with Kelly, the pranks, late-night study sessions, endless conversations. I realized I had never recognized the depth of her feelings for me. Anger, sadness, and confusion intertwined in my mind. But I reminded myself that the present was my fiancée, the happiness I had chosen, and no one had the right to interfere with that choice. I told myself that a strong inner core would help me navigate all pressures from both past and present. On the Friday following the bachelor party, Kelly texted wanting to meet in person. I agreed with the condition that it would be just 5 minutes and with clear boundaries. When we met at a small cafe, the soft yellow light couldn't ease the tension between us. Kelly spoke of her 6 years of unspoken love and her disappointment that I was getting married. I looked her directly in the eyes, calm yet firm, emphasizing that my marriage was my present and future, and that she needed to respect my boundaries. Her eyes welled up with tears. But I knew that showing weakness now would only escalate the drama. The drama didn't end with that meeting. Rumors spread, friends whispered, some curious, some disapproving of how I handled it. My fiancée noticed the tension on my face and asked about it. I held her hand and reassured her that I had faced Kelly directly and set clear boundaries. Together, we stood strong, ready for the challenges ahead. In the following days, Kelly continued to test boundaries, even showing up unexpectedly at my home, her voice trembling as she tried to convince me to understand her feelings. I stayed calm, reinforcing the final boundary, making it clear that there was no room for drama in my life. To manage the situation, I developed a strategy: limit direct contact with Kelly, clarify with friends when misunderstandings arose, and firmly maintain my marriage decision. Meanwhile, social pressure remained. Some friends knew about the meeting with Kelly, gossiping about how I handled things, which added stress. I realized that the climax wasn't just about the confession or direct pressure, it was about mental endurance, staying calm, and the resolve to protect my happiness. That evening, sitting by the window, watching the soft yellow city lights flicker outside, I wrote in my journal, "The drama has escalated, but I faced it head on and stood my ground. My boundaries and happiness are what matter most. Kelly can try, but no one has the right to interfere with my choices. This is the moment to be steadfast and protect my true happiness." The next day, Kelly's contact began to taper off, but the internal pressure remained. I knew the climax had reached its peak, but the most important task was to maintain composure, uphold boundaries, and prepare for the wedding, making sure no drama could destroy my happiness, with strong inner core and determination to protect my happiness. I realized that love and marriage aren't just about feelings, they're about setting boundaries, facing the past, and managing social pressures. That is the strength that will carry me toward the conclusion, peace and happiness at the upcoming wedding. After days of direct confrontation with Kelly and enduring heavy social pressure, I began to realize that true happiness wasn't about escaping drama, was about building a solid foundation for the future. Even as Kelly's messages became less frequent, the inner tension remained, like a quiet heartbeat reminding me not to let my guard down. On Monday morning, I woke up with a mix of relief and lingering stress. I looked around the room. Everything was as it always had. Bin photos with my fiancée, handwritten letters, little keepsakes that reminded me of the past, but also confirmed the present. I told myself that as long as I stayed calm and focused on real happiness, the pressures of the past would gradually fade. That morning, I called my fiancée to meet me at a cafe near our first meeting spot. The familiar space, soft lighting, and gentle city sounds created a rare sense of peace amidst the chaos of recent days. When she arrived, I immediately noticed her gentle smile seemed to dissolve some of the tension in my chest. "You look tired," she said, concern mixed with tenderness in her voice. "I know, but don't worry. Everything will be fine. It's just these last few days before the wedding pressures from the past and from friends, but I won't let it affect us," I replied, holding her hand, my eyes full of determination. We spent hours talking not only about the wedding, but also about our plans afterward. Small, joyful moments we wanted to share, and little dreams we hoped to achieve together. I realized that sharing genuine feelings was the best way to strengthen our relationship. And it reaffirmed for me, my fiancée is my present and future, not my past with Kelly. A few days later, I spent time with close friends who had witnessed all the drama. I said plainly, "Everything's clear." Kelly confessed her feelings while drunk, and I refused honestly. Anyone who understands and respects my choice is a true friend. Drama has no place in my life anymore. This statement not only clarified things to my friends, but also helped establish social boundaries, removing unnecessary pressures. Some were understanding, others curious, but I no longer cared. I knew that inner stability was the key to entering the wedding with confidence and happiness, while preparing for the wedding. My fiancé and I worked together on every detail, from choosing flowers and checking the menu to arranging seating. With each small step, I realized that love and marriage are not just about emotions, they are about cooperation, respect, and care. Every time she looked at me with a radiant smile, my determination to protect our happiness grew stronger yet. My mind was not entirely at peace. Kelly was still part of my past, and even though she contacted me less, the mental pressure lingered. I began practicing how to remain calm in potential situations, imagining all the ways Kelly could challenge me before the wedding. I reminded myself, I can't control her, but I can control my reaction. One afternoon, while walking through the park where I had once met Kelly, I noticed quiet spaces, sunlight filtering through trees, and told myself that inner calm and determination would be the best shield against any drama. I imagined the wedding, the laughter. My fiancée, Escazand, recognized that every effort to protect this happiness was worth it. In the following days, I spent most of my time with my fiancée, arranging every detail, from invitations and music to decorating the ceremony. Each moment strengthened our love, trust, and confidence, while helping me gradually release the pressures from Kelly and our friends. I learned that inner stability doesn't mean avoiding drama. It means facing it and controlling my own responses. In the evening, before bed, I sat by the window, looking at the twinkling city lights, reminding myself, drama has reached its end. I've confronted it directly, set clear boundaries, and now it's time to focus fully on real happiness. My fiancée is my present and future. Nothing can break that. The next day, I realized that my internal peak had been reached. I had stabilized my emotions, strengthened my relationship with my fiancée, and prepared mentally to enter the wedding with absolute confidence. Kelly, though still a part of the past, was no longer a direct threat. I had firmly established boundaries and recognized that true strength lies in remaining calm, determined to protect happiness and refusing to let the past control the present. On the morning of the wedding, the space was filled with soft sunlight, yet I still felt a hint of tension inside. The past 2 weeks, from Kelly's confession and social pressure to maintaining composure and strengthening my relationship with my fiancée, had been exhausting. Now, with the wedding imminent, I realized that all the drama had to end once and for all. My fiancée walked into the preparation room in her pristine white wedding dress, her eyes radiant yet slightly worried. I approached her, took her hand, and spoke calmly but full of love. "You are my present and my future. Nothing can change that, and today it's all about us." She smiled, and for the first time in many days, I felt a deep sense of peace. But I knew Kelly might appear, attempting to create an awkward situation. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that calmness and boundaries were key to handling any situation. As the ceremony began, music played, guests mingled, and lights shimmered off the wedding dress and decorations everywhere. Everything seemed perfect, yet even amidst this dazzling setting, I felt an undercurrent of tension, curious glances from a few onlookers, whispered conversations among friends, and the lingering worry that Kelly might do something unexpected. Then Kelly appeared. She wore an elegant dress, yet her eyes glistened with tears. The room fell silent for a moment as she approached, and I knew the internal climax and final social drama had arrived. "I just want to say," Kelly began, her voice trembling, but I stopped her with a firm look. "Kelly, everything is clear. I respect your feelings, but today is my and my fiancé's day. I don't want drama, and you must respect that." She hesitated slightly, her gaze flickering between disappointment and acceptance. In that silent moment, I realized that this time, the boundary had been firmly maintained, and Kelly understood she couldn't change anything. The ceremony continued, yet I remained aware that every eye was observing how I handled the situation. I took deep breaths, focusing on my fiancée and each moment, holding her hand, exchanging rings, and walking up the aisle. Every step reaffirmed my resolve. This happiness is ours, and no one has the right to disrupt it. During the speeches, I noticed Kelly standing quietly in a corner of the hall. She remained there without attempting to intervene. I realized that maintaining calm, facing the situation directly, and setting clear boundaries had won not through harsh words, but through steadfast determination to protect happiness. Throughout the ceremony, I felt every gaze and every smile from friends and family. I knew that all misunderstandings had been resolved. All past drama was behind us. The light from the chandeliers reflected off the pristine wedding dress, mirroring the happiness and peace I had fought to achieve. After the ceremony, in a private moment with my fiancée, I exhaled lightly and held her hand. "We've overcome everything. No one can break our happiness." She smiled, her eyes shimmering. "You stayed firm. I'm proud of you." Together, we looked out the window at the city sparkling under the lights, and I felt that the climax of the drama had ended, giving way to peace, happiness, and trust in the future. But it wasn't just an ending, it was also a lesson about boundaries, persistence, and facing the past. I realized that drama will always exist in social life, but only by staying calm, confronting it directly, and setting clear boundaries can one truly protect genuine happiness. That day ended with a successful wedding. Laughter, lights, and complete joy. Kelly stood in a corner, no longer intervening, no longer testing. I knew that the way I handled the drama, calmly, firmly, and with respect for boundaries, had created a fitting conclusion for all the effort, pressure, and complex emotions of the past weeks. After the wedding, the atmosphere seemed peaceful, but in my heart, remnants of the drama still lingered. Everything with Kelly had been partially resolved, yet the past days made me realize the drama doesn't just come from individuals, it also comes from the glances, words, and misunderstandings within society. I began paying more attention to every gesture from friends, every story they recounted, and even the half-hidden messages that I knew originated from Kelly. One morning, while preparing documents for the honeymoon, my phone buzzed. Kelly messaged, I truly apologize for everything. I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just hope everything ends well, and I hope you're happy. I read her message over and over. At this point, I no longer felt confused or angry. Instead, I felt a sense of relief and maturity. I replied briefly but firmly, I appreciate what you said. Now, we both have the right to move forward on our own paths. And we both deserve happiness. In the following days, I started arranging meetings with close friends who had witnessed the drama from the beginning. We talked about the wedding, about how people had misunderstood, and about how to handle situations with Kelly. Some friends admitted they had misunderstood and didn't know how to intervene, while others expressed regret for not helping me stay calm earlier. Through these conversations, I realized that successfully resolving drama doesn't only rely on direct confrontation, it also requires transparency, honesty, and clarifying the truth with everyone involved. My fiancée noticed I was still quietly tense. She spoke gently but seriously. You've been strong, but I see you're still under pressure. We should talk openly so you no longer carry this burden. We sat down and had an honest conversation about the recent events. Kelly's confession, social pressure, and the way I maintained boundaries and faced everything. My fiancée held my hand, looking me in the eyes, and I felt a profound connection, a deep sense of peace. Only then did I realize that sharing genuine emotions is the best way to strengthen love and a powerful remedy to erase lingering past anxieties. One day, Kelly wanted to meet in person one last time. She appeared calm, her eyes no longer tense. She said, I want everything to truly end. I understand now and won't interfere anymore. At that moment, I realized that the drama had reached its conclusion. I replied calmly, I appreciate that, Kelly. Now we can both move forward on our paths. And we each deserve our own happiness. Kelly left, no longer posing any challenges or pressure. I felt a profound sense of relief, but also understood that the peak of drama isn't just about words, it's about acceptance, awareness, and growth from both sides. In the following days, my fiancée and I hosted gatherings with close friends, sharing about the wedding, our emotions, and the recent events. I realized that all societal misunderstandings can be resolved if we are honest and respectful of others' feelings while protecting our own happiness. People began to understand that drama is only a temporary challenge, and love and the determination to safeguard happiness are what truly matter. One beautiful afternoon, sitting in the park with sunlight filtering through the trees, I thought to myself, we've overcome everything. Past drama, social pressure, all misunderstandings. Now they are behind us. What matters is us, our love, and our determination to protect our happiness. In the following days, my fiancée and I planned for the future. Trips, small projects, and ways to face societal and past pressures together. I realized that, though intense, the drama was ultimately a lesson in maturity, learning to set boundaries, remain steadfast, and protect true happiness. I spent time journaling the entire process, from the bachelor party, Kelly's confession, social pressure, to how I maintained boundaries, stayed calm, and strengthened my love with my fiancé. Every line I wrote testified to inner strength, emotional control, and growth through challenges. Especially, I realized that Kelly, though once the source of drama, was now only part of the past, a memory that helped me mature and understand the true value of love. I clearly felt that peace and happiness are not the absence of drama, but the ability to overcome it and protect love from its influence. On the final day before our honeymoon, I looked back on the entire journey and thought to myself, all challenges have passed, all drama has been resolved. Now only happiness, love, and the future remain. We are ready to step into the next chapter, whole and peaceful. On the last morning before our honeymoon, the space around me was filled with the soft light of early dawn. The city seemed to wake up slowly, and the familiar sounds of the streets, distant car horns, birds singing, footsteps of passers-by, created a complete sense of peace. A peace I had fought so hard to achieve over the past few weeks. My fiancée stepped out of the room, her light dress flowing with each step, her eyes bright yet full of emotion. I held her hand, feeling warmth spread through me, and I knew that all the hardships and past drama were now just memories. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice gentle yet tinged with humor. "Always ready. Today is our day, and you are everything," I replied, my gaze full of love and determination. We walked together through the familiar streets that held memories, from our early days together, from the first dates to the challenges we had just overcome. I realized that every step today was not only a step toward marriage, but also a testament to inner strength, resilience, and the ability to overcome drama. Arriving at the honeymoon venue, the atmosphere was formal yet cozy. Family and close friends had prepared everything perfectly. Soft golden light reflected off every decorative detail, filling the space with overwhelming joy. I could clearly feel that all the effort, all the determination, and the calmness in facing the drama had culminated in this day, complete, fulfilling, and peaceful. During the reception, as guests offered their blessings and shared happiness, I looked around and realized that all the drama had completely vanished. Kelly no longer appeared, friends understood the truth, and societal pressures had been relieved. I suddenly understood that true peace is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to overcome them and maintain one's own happiness. The peak moment of the day came when I stood beside my fiancée, hand in hand, exchanging lifelong vows. Our eyes met, and without words, we understood that every difficulty, every drama, and every misunderstanding had been resolved, giving way to love and absolute trust. After the ceremony, we joined family and friends for the evening party. Laughter, warm glances, and lively conversations created a space full of joy. Sitting beside my fiancée, I emphasized, "See, all those challenges before were just lessons. We overcame them, And now everything is only joy, peace, and love." She smiled, her eyes sparkling. "You were steadfast and strong. I know we can overcome anything together." Later, when it was just the two of us, I looked out the window, the city lights reflecting on the water, and I thought, the drama of the past has ended. Kelly is only a memory. All social pressures have dissolved, and we are ready to enter a new life, complete, peaceful, and happy. In that moment, I realized that this story was not just about drama or conflicts with Kelly, but a journey of growth, learning to set boundaries, remain calm, and protect true happiness. Each challenge had made me stronger, and my love for my fiancée was now more resilient than ever. The next day, we prepared to leave for our honeymoon. In the taxi, hand in hand, I said to her, "Now, we only have happiness, love, and the future. Everything else is past and will never affect us again." My fiancée smiled and rested her head on my shoulder, and I knew that the drama had truly ended, giving way to peace, trust, and lasting happiness. As the plane took off, looking at the small city below, I felt a sense of completeness and serenity unlike anything before. The long months, from Kelly's drunken confession, social pressures, to the days of facing them directly, had all become a journey that helped me grow and understand the true value of happiness and love. The honeymoon passed with trips, laughter, and sweet private moments. My fiancée and I planned for the future together, shared our dreams, and learned how to face life's daily challenges. I realized that the climax of the drama had taught me that love and happiness are not only about feelings, but also about steadfastness, boundaries, and the ability to protect the most important values in life.